Frankie, stop me if you've heard this one before. The Leafs have problems on defense. Yes, they're banged up. But if you're a Timothy Liljegren injury away from these kind of results, can you really seriously be considered a contender?
It depends who you have in the lineup, Gino. If you have 6 good defensemen playing and you're a Timothy Liljegren away, you're probably in pretty good shape. But the fact of the matter for the Leafs right now is they have 2 call-up players from the AHL who are trying to do their best. You have a 40-year-old in Mark Giordano who's trying to do his best, who should be playing on the third pair, who they're asking too much from. And you have a player in John Klingberg who they're asking too much from, who is playing like an AHL player, Gino. So with that being the case, it's hard to consider the Leafs as a legitimate contender. And we knew coming into the season that this blue line was flawed. They were still missing that big, robust physical presence that they had with Luke Schenn that a lot of the best teams in the NHL have. So we knew as the trade deadline approached, there were going to be some changes to this blue line. You thought it was only going to get better. When you have injuries, of course, it makes it tough to win. But now you're really starting to see how this blue line can be exposed the way it's currently conducted. They need Jake McCabe back. They need Timothy Liljegren back. And they actually even need Connor Timmins to really be the 7th guy. So maybe they could give a guy like John Klingberg a night off. It hasn't looked pretty from the blue line, and it hasn't looked pretty from a team perspective. Too many times, centermen missing assignments, and that doesn't help an already depleted blue line.
And in fairness, Frankie, Toronto's D isn't getting much help in net either. Joseph Woll was anointed the starter by Leafs Nation before last night's game. Then he gives up 6. How would you handle the timeshare between Woll and Ilya Samsonov moving forward?
Listen, Gino, you look at the stats to help you tell the story. I understand that Joseph Woll didn't have a great night against the Ottawa Senators, but he's still a full goal saved above expected. And Ilya Samsonov is about a goal and a half less. So that still tells me that Joseph Woll is the guy you go to. And I have an issue with this goaltending because Ilya Samsonov, there's a certain amount of responsibility that lays on his shoulders. He makes over $3 million. He was the guy last year that it was in that top 8 to 10 ranking for goaltenders in the league. He hasn't done that. So now, similar to how we just talked about with the blue line, where you're asking too much out of too many different people who shouldn't be put in those positions, you're asking a lot out of Joseph Woll to be the starting goaltender behind a blue line that's depleted, that's not playing up to their capabilities, behind a forward group that's not playing to their capabilities defensively. It's not exactly fair for a guy like Joseph Woll, who was just supposed to be a complementary piece of the tandem between himself and Ilya Samsonov. So yeah, the goaltending wasn't great against Ottawa. Joseph Woll has looked good at times this season. It's time that Ilya Samsonov steps it up a little bit and maybe alleviates some of the pressure that Joseph Woll is going to be feeling.
Frankie coming in hot. I'm loving this. Woll, by the way, is 21st in goals against average. Samsonov 50th. And for what it's worth, their best option in the minors right now, Martin Jones, is 41st among goalies in the American Hockey League.